Hello, this is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer.
Welcome home.
Soar into tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey, it's Amy from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey Clubbers, it's Scott from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, it's Kathleen from DVC Clubhouse.
Welcome aboard. It's Phil from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Debrief podcast brought to you by DVC Clubhouse. This is Amy, joined as always by Kathleen, Scott, and Phil. Hey guys.
Hey, guys.
Hi guys.
Welcome aboard, guys.
It's been such a long time since I've seen you all.
Right. So in terms of podcast releases, it's been a whole week. In terms of real chronological time, it's been approximately 47 seconds. But here we go with part 2 of the big Disneyland trip.
Yeah.
Throwdown. East Coast versus West Coast.
Yeah. So Scott's over there throwing hands. But so last week, if you joined in, we started talking about Disneyland, and we talked something a little bit about the hotels, which one we prefer, and just kind of like an overall sense of like the feel. Because Kathleen and Scott were there recently for the first time. I was there recently, saw them. We did a DVC Clubhouse meetup while we were there. And Phil, when was the last time you were there? A year ago, 2 years ago?
Year and a half ago, give or take. It all kind of runs together in my memory. But yeah, about a year and a half ago, I think, somewhere in that vicinity.
Time for another visit.
The thought crossed our mind, but as we mentioned in the last episode, I don't like renting out my points and then re-renting points, and it's kind of a pain, and we've talked about it, and I don't know that I'm really up to walking a reservation for 5 months like I did last time in order to get a good enough stay there, and I just won't be content with 3 days. If I go back, it's going to be another 5 to 7 day trip. It's just worth it for me if I'm going all the way across the country to make it a longer trip.
So this week we're going to talk about the actual parks. We're going to talk about the rides, maybe do a little bit of comparison between the West Coast and the East Coast, which version of the ride we like better. I know it seems like Scott has some opinions that he can't wait to discuss.
I do. Quite a few, actually.
Yes, he does.
We have some differing opinions.
So just before we get into the rides, let's just talk about the elephant in the room, and it's the castles. So
the castles in Main Street, because it's such a different feel coming down Main Street. I'm dying to know, because I ask everyone this question, when you walked in the park and you went under the train station through that small entrance compared to Walt Disney World, and you looked down Main Street, what was your reaction? Because it's so different.
I don't remember, because Cindy was with us.
She wanted to be with us.
She wanted to be with us the first time. And let me just say real quick how amazing Cindy is. I absolutely love that woman. She was so knowledgeable of Disneyland. She loves Disneyland. She loves Walt Disney. I mean, she should be a tour guide. I mean, she just talking about it, she just lights up. I mean, she's just amazing. But so we come around the corner and she's like, well, and I don't remember exactly what I think I said, she's cute. I mean, she's just cute. She's tiny, but she's cute.
That's not what you said. You said, oh, look, my first Disney castle.
Well, she's cute.
It was. I didn't have a problem with it. People made it out to be like it was this dramatic, like you were going to be shocked. But I think so many people had talked about it that I was kind of already prepared for it. And from a distance, yeah, it is, it's a big difference from Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest difference to me was the fact that there was absolutely no PhotoPass people down Main Street, because you would never see the castle. You know how many people were in Walt Disney World on Main Street taking your picture? There was nobody at all because you would never see the castle. But of course, the closer you got to it, right up next to it, walking under it, it didn't bother me one bit at all. It was a castle. We walked through it. We did the little the story that's told with Sleeping Beauty, and I thought that was really cool. But yeah, it wasn't as
It wasn't a disappointment.
No, not
at all by any means.
I think
Well,
it's
you know, I
slightly
always say that
jarring.
the cats.
Go ahead, Amy.
Go ahead, Phil.
I was
I was
just going
going
to
to
say
say
that
I always say that the.
No,
All
really,
right, you
Amy,
go.
you
I'm
this
not saying
time.
anything.
I'll point.
Okay. All right. I don't even know who you're pointing at. The
You.
way that you pointed, it looked like you were pointing out the door of my office. But so anyway, I always say that the difference in the castles are like Cinderella Castle is like Barbie's dream house. It has like 4 stories. It is taller than your kids. Like there's an elevator in it. And Sleeping Beauty Castle at Disneyland is like the Fisher Price Little People.
That's what I
It's a,
said. My first,
you know, like
right.
yeah.
My first
It's
castle.
so it's like if one seems like sleek and elegant and the other one just seems like tiny, and it's like it really does kind of like feel like you're in a fairy tale village in Disneyland versus in Disney World where you're
Yeah.
like walking into like a kingdom. Like it's called the Magic Kingdom for a reason. Like you are in a kingdom and there's a giant castle in the kingdom. Sleeping Beauty Castle is just a little castle in a little fairy tale storybook village.
Well, when we were checking into Grand Californian, she asked for our ID and she saw that we lived in Florida. And she's like, "Oh, you're from Mickey's Big House." So I thought that was kind of cute. But yes, people have told us about the size of the castle that we would be shocked. And I've heard it so many times that I was expecting it. So I think if I didn't hear it, I would be completely caught off guard. But I was expecting it, and
I'm happy to report back that in this case, size did not matter.
no.
It's true. It's plenty wide. What I was going to say
I think
is,
that oh god, Phil.
can I go now, Amy?
Yes.
It's jarring to me, or was jarring to me, not because of the size of the castle, because I think, like Kathleen said, it's been talked about so much that you're expecting it. What was jarring to me was, and I think Amy put it perfectly, it's so overwhelming. You are in a kingdom on Main Street. And when you look at how they designed the two, Fort Collins, Colorado, which was a boom town with big buildings and they were going multiple stories, versus Marceline, Missouri, which was a very, very, very small town. The jarring part to me was how comfortable it felt, how small everything was, not just the castle, but the Main Street buildings are smaller. They're shorter. The hub is smaller. It's just I always struggle to find the word for it, but you just feel like you're in this amazing little tiny town and it's everything it should be. And when you think about how it was designed and the shops that were there to begin with, from the coffee house that was there to the hotel to the Wizard of Bras, they were selling lingerie on Main Street in the very beginning. Art Linkletter's photo booth that he had out, the original people out actually selling the newspapers at the entrance, and the Disneyland Weekly newspaper. And there's so much encapsulated in such a little space that I feel like, and it's done on purpose, you walk into Walt Disney World, specifically Magic Kingdom, and you were supposed to be overawed. You were supposed to be just in awe at the size of the castle and the size of the buildings. You walk into Disneyland and there's just this immediate, at least for me, feeling of comfort walking down Main Street. It's not completely overwhelming. It's just comfortable to walk through there and you feel like everything can proceed at a slower pace. It's not the go, go, go hustle and bustle of Main Street at Walt Disney World.
I think what is sort of jarring for me in the difference between the two castles is not the actual structure themselves, but it's that if Main Street USA is crowded in Disneyland, you might not see the castle at all until you get closer to it. And you've got just blue sky above it. So at some points, like in some vantage points, if there's a crowd in front of you, it's like there's not a castle at the end of that street at all. It's because all you can see is the crowd in front of you and then the sky above. And that's the part that feels a little bit jarring because you're used to the castle being this major focal point. And it's a focal point from multiple places in the park. You know, when you are in different lands in Disney World, you can see Cinderella's castle, but there are points even in Fantasyland where you cannot even see Sleeping Beauty
Yeah.
Castle. And I think that's the part that feels the weirdest to me, is that it really was not like, while it is kind of the central hub, it was not designed to be the central focal point. It was designed to be kind of like the natural division of like where you might turn, like the crossroads, but not necessarily this icon at the end of the street.
Right.
And I think that lends itself so well to why Disneyland feels so small and comfortable, and why when you go to the different lands in Disneyland, I think there's more immersion there. Because almost no matter where you are at Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, you could be at the Haunted Mansion and see the castle. You could be at the end of Frontierland and see the castle. You can be in Adventureland and see the castle. You don't have that dominating sight line. And we talk about sight lines a lot on this podcast. You don't have that big giant blue and pink spire that's just so close when you're listening to the music down by Big Thunder or Splash Mountain. And I feel like that allows you to truly just immerse yourself in Adventureland or in Frontierland at Disneyland, because you don't have that jarring juxtaposition just way up in the sky staring at you from those vantage points at those areas.
And I think when you're in Fantasyland and you see that Fantasyland really is like a storybook, like each ride is its own little storybook, that the castle just feels so much more of a part of Fantasyland than it does Main Street USA. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like the castle is an icon of Main Street USA, whereas Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland is much more a part of the storyline of Fantasyland than it is of Main Street USA. It's like you're entering into like a story. And like Scott said, like you can actually walk through the story of Sleeping Beauty when you go into the castle. So it's much more about the fantasy aspect. Whereas Cinderella's castle is really just this like major central icon that is visible from every part of the park.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I agree with that. Definitely. I didn't think about it that way.
So walk me through your days, guys. What did you end up doing? Did you bounce between the parks? Did you tend to focus a little more on one versus the other? How did you kind of lay out this trip?
I think wow.
Well, our first park was DCA.
Interesting
Yeah.
choice. Most people go directly to Magic Kingdom being the original. Was it because you were at Grand Cal?
Yeah, it's because we kind of planned it that way because of the hotel that we were at. But yeah, we just focused that whole day. Did we park hop?
For a little bit, but Cindy just took us around, like kind of just showing us the lay of the land, but we didn't
Yes.
stop and really do anything. We were just looking around at things. And then when we came back the next day to Disneyland, we
kind of decided
familiar
we had a
with.
game plan of what we wanted to do the next day. But yeah, the first day was just probably 75% was spent in DCA, just trying to ride what we could and, just experience everything over there. And then we did park hop over to the Disneyland park.
And you really like DCA.
I did. I don't know. I think DCA is very Hollywood Studios-ish. And I mean, I think the rides there were superior. They're not thrill rides by any means, but I loved everything about, the Radiator Springs. I think that whole entire theming of that land is incredible. I walked back there. I couldn't get over it when I walked back there.
You went at night, right?
No, we were there during the day. I did not see it at night.
You never saw it at night the entire time you were there?
No.
You missed the best view of Radiator Springs missing it at night. It's incredible during the day. You need to go back to the West Coast just to see Radiator Springs at night. It is when it truly is just incredible. It's a bit of a pun, I guess, but that's when it shines.
But I loved everything about that. There was one part, and I think it's the part that they're actually tearing out to build Avatar. It was a little, do you guys know what I'm talking about? It was a little like, reminded me a little bit of like Universal. I think the Monsters ride is back there, the Monsters Inc. ride.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's the Monsters ride. It's just, there's an animation studio back there with a shop. It's pretty underutilized at the moment. That's the street that has the big billboard at the end with the blue sky, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think that might have been my only part that I was like, like I really didn't need that. But the whole Cars Land, the Pixar Pier, the San Francisco, which I thought was the weirdest thing in the world, but it totally was so cool. I don't know. I loved everything about it. I just thought that was like the coolest park. I love the Avengers Campus. I loved the Guardians
Grizzly
ride, which
Peak.
is yes,
Mission Breakout.
yes. What did you say, Amy? Grizzly Peak?
We didn't
I
ride
said
it.
Grizzly Peak.
Yeah, because that was the first part that we saw.
But you were back in that But you were back in that area.
That was the first part that I saw, and that was the first moment that I knew I was really gonna love that park.
It reminded us of Geauga Lake.
Yes.
Was that your entrance from the Grand Californian Hotel? Yeah.
Yeah. So all of the trees and just the old school feel of it. Big Al was right there. I mean, everything about that was just like I knew right away. I'm gonna really like this park.
That is something that Disneyland has that Disney World does not and probably cannot have, is having this seamless transition from a hotel into the park. Because it's not just that you can enter the park from the hotel, but it's that section of the park is themed to like the hotel. Like they are.
Yeah.
So it's like you're staying in a national park, in a lodge in a national park, and then you're walking into the national park. And that to me is just like Imagineering at its best. Like that is just something that I wish that they could do. And it's like what I dream about that they would do at like Animal Kingdom, that they would create a hotel that then you could like walk into one of these lands, because I feel like that's the only place where they have the space to do it. But I love that feeling of the seamless transition from hotel to theme park.
They tried to at Walt Disney World. Remember the resorts that never got built? Some of those were designed to come straight back into the park and on an expanded monorail loop. They were supposed to be themed to the lands.
So am I the only weird one that took a couple days to realize that Grand Californian was kind of built right into the shops at Downtown Disney?
Yeah, that's the other cool entrance and exit from that hotel is you go in that walkway and you come out in the other direction and you're looking at the backside of Grand Californian as you're in downtown Disney. It's right there. It's built into it.
But you can actually get a room that is like right above Starbucks or
Yep.
World of Disney
and it took us a couple days to even
I didn't even realize that. We were walking back from Disneyland and I'm like,
we were newbies.
Rooms on top of the store?
Yeah. But Grand Cal was our first day. Like I said, 75% of our day. And
DCA.
Or yeah, what did I say? Grand Cal. DCA was our first park, and we had a really great time. Pixar Pier is really cool. I don't know, and I didn't think I would.
Did you go on Mickey's Wheel of Death?
Somebody here will ride any ride that this world has to offer, any thrill ride. But if you throw a Ferris wheel at her, she is 100% a hell no. And I get it.
So that's
because
a no.
I saw what that Ferris wheel did. So I was okay with that.
Well, there's some that don't move, that don't rock back and forth, but I just can't do that. Maybe when we go back, I'll do it, but doubtful.
I am so heartbroken that you didn't see Radiator Springs at night because they did such an amazing job with the neon lights and how everything is lit and the cozy cone. Lightning McQueen is out there. It's just an incredible experience. Again, I've said it. Hats off to Kevin Rafferty, man. He totally nailed the Route 66 vibe.
Oh, I mean, definitely have to do it when we go back, for sure.
And another shout out to Cindy, but she was the one who told me to stand on the middle of the street there at sunset, because right at the minute of sunset is when the neon lights come on and they play Shaboom every night, and that was like a really special moment. So I was so happy that she told me to do that, because it's fun to see, all of the lights come on and then the cast members like do like a little dance party at the end. Just real quick, there's also an entrance into Pixar Pier from the Grand Californian, which is also super convenient. And I used that entrance when I was staying at Grand Californian and we were back at the hotel, but I wanted to see World of Color, so I used that entrance. I literally went down like in my lounge, like my hotel lounge clothes, and watched World of Colors and then went right back into that entrance. It's just so much closer to to the DVC wing because, like I said before, it's the DVC wing. It's like you have to walk outside to get to the main part of the hotel, to get over to either the entrance of DCA that goes into Grizzly Peak or into downtown Disney. But you can enter into Pixar Pier right outside the door from the DVC wing, which is super convenient. So I loved that too.
We used it to exit the park quite a bit, and we just tell the kids, just go by the corn dog. If you go to the corn dogs, you will find that entrance to get back into Grand California. And you guys mentioned San Francisco, so I guess now is as good a time as any to bring it up because I loved the food in San Francisco. And one of the things we talked about before you guys went out was coming from Walt Disney World, the utter impossibility of imagining a trip to a Disney resort, I guess, without pre-planning all your meals. Did you eat in San Francisco?
Mm-hmm.
We did.
We did.
We
I couldn't tell you the name of it. I know where it's at. But...
the taco. Oh my gosh, it was
their
the taco.
barbacoa is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we had something really good there, and then I had something there that was not the best thing. But yeah, we did eat there. I thought that was like the coolest place. I don't know, like just the feel of it. There were so many people there, and just the vibe of it. It was so cool. But yeah, that was the only time that we've ever done a trip like that, where we said, "Screw it, we're not going to do any table service. We're just going to wing it, go quick service."
And there was plenty.
And there was plenty. Yeah, the food there was, I mean, it was top notch. Everything that we had was really good. But we did break down. We did do one table service.
Yeah, we did.
Because I saw that it was a Donald themed buffet over at Grand Cal. So we technically did do one, but the whole rest of the trip, it was just nothing but lounge bites and quick service. And we were fine with that.
And it's so good. You guys have heard me say 50% of their quick serve is better than 50% of Walt Disney World sit downs.
Just think there's more options. Where did we eat in the morning at Disneyland? That place on the corner.
Oh, I can't remember. They had the breakfast croissant in the morning.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it now.
I forget the name of it, but it was amazing.
Because we ate there more than once.
We did. I have to look it up now.
It's also the only place you can find shawarma in Avengers Campus.
Oh, yeah. I did see that. Yeah, but I thought the food there was really good. And like I said, just to be able to do quick service the whole time, that's never happened before. Because when we were in Ohio and we planned our trips down here, we were, full on dining plan when they had it, and buffet, character meal, full blown, nothing but table service.
Jolly Holiday.
I agree with you.
Jolly Holiday Bakery.
Holiday.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Scott. Like the whole vibe of DCA is so awesome. And I'm not saying that it reminds me of Epcot in like theming, because clearly it's like vastly different, but it reminds me of Epcot in that it's a park that I can just kind of like meander around, taking in like the sights, sitting down, getting a bite to eat, getting a drink, moving on to like another land, and just allow being in the park to be like experience without needing to like feel like I need to be riding a ton of things, because you've got that whole wine country area. San Francisco is so cool looking. It almost feels like a real place when you're there.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's like a theme park land. You feel like you're in like the middle of this like kind of bustling like city, and kind of like the like under the bridge, maybe like a little bit of like the dingy part of the city, but it's like so cool with the lights and all the food, and so great. And then you've got Radiator Springs, which is just so incredible. And I love, Flo's Diner and getting a drink there, just sitting and taking in like it's such a good place to people watch. So like DCA feels to me like the kind of like the way that I do Epcot, which is just kind of like the wandering around and taking it all in. That's how I feel at DCA. So I love that too.
Makes sense considering that DCA was originally supposed to be Westcott, and then they came around with MGM, and then they had to do DCA, and then DCA became something different. So it's kind of like they took the best ideas from everything and kind of merged it together.
You said
it's like when you first.
Oh, sorry. Good.
I was just gonna say, when you first walk into Disney California Adventure, it doesn't like have like a huge presence, like you've arrived. until you kind of it kind of does just feel like this like little street, like this little street that you're walking down, and then it's when you make the turns off the street that then you kind of stumble into these like really elaborately themed areas. But and the first time I went, I was kind of like, and that's actually like Scott, when you said that that one area reminds you of Universal, the entrance of DCA kind of reminds me a little bit of Universal too, because when you go to Universal, you walk in and there's not like a natural, you don't necessarily feel like there's this directional like architecture at all. You just feel like there's just kind of like you walk in and there's some stores and where am I?
Mm-hmm.
But then you hit the crossroads and it gets a very Hollywood Studios feel to it.
Yeah. 100%. And I mean that Carthay Circle Lounge. Did you guys go there? Because I love that place.
We did not.
And that's a great place for anybody who has like Walt's nostalgia or like the history aspect. Like that's a great place. But speaking of Walt and nostalgia, why don't we shift to Disneyland Park, because there's a lot to talk about there, and we're already at 26 minutes. So I mean, we talked about the castle, but let's talk about, the lands and the rides and what you guys think about the lands and the rides versus Walt Disney World.
I'm just going to start off with Fantasyland because I think you kind of have to start there.
That's what I was going to start with.
Fantasyland at Disneyland is far superior and done the right way. Whereas I feel like Fantasyland in Disney World is just a mashup of a couple of okay rides, but mostly quick service foods. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I mean, walk from 7D, you come out of Tomorrowland, you've got 7D on your right, you've got Winnie the Pooh on your left, and then there's nothing but meet and greets, a show, and quick serve as far as the eye can see until you hit Peter Pan and Small World.
Yeah, you have like your why can I never remember the storybook treats? They have the Cheshire Cafe. Like I'm thinking like there's the actual Alice in Wonderland ride. We have a Cheshire Cafe. There's a Pinocchio's ride in Disneyland. We have a Pinocchio's quick service. It's just, it feels like the rides were almost traded for
food,
cash grabs, quick service foods. But we haven't even got into the big one yet, which is
let's work our way back there. So I mean, you've got
Yeah.
the Alice in Wonderland ride is so cool. The other really neat thing about Fantasyland there is, I don't know if you guys did it. We did. We would get there at early entry into Fantasyland, and you can do 3 or 4 rides before the rest of the crowds get in because they're all right on top of each other. They're all very short. They're very well themed. You get in between Snow White and Pinocchio and look down. There's just so many rides there for you to hop on almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we rode all of them pretty much in Fantasyland.
We did. We did them like that. We didn't do them first thing in the morning, but the crowd levels were so manageable that we were just able to do them back to back to back. And maybe the longest wait time was 15 or 20 minutes. So you've got Pinocchio, Snow White, Mr. Toad, Alice. Like we just kind of did all of those like back to back to back. And I don't know. I loved every one of them. They're not your thrill rides. They're not your big name rides. They're going to pull a lot of people into, but they're the rides that, you just, every time you go there, you want to ride it.
Those are the OGs, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that land is just has nostalgia written all over it, because it just feels like it reminds me of childhood, not just because it's for kids, but because of like the way that it was built. It feels like those theme parks that were built when we were kids, and they feel a little bit kitschy and a little bit dated, but in like the best way possible. And I mean, I love the storybook canal boats. I mean,
Love
that
it.
is
Another
just
one that's
so
amazing at night.
yeah, it's just everything is just so intimate. And at Magic Kingdom, Fantasyland used to be a little bit more reminiscent of Fantasyland at Disneyland, because you did have Mr. Toad and you had Snow White, and there were more rides that then they converted into different things. But they've stayed true to the spirit of Fantasyland, which is to just really be like walking into a storybook. And I just love that.
I think that was my favorite part too, when Amy mentioned the storybook canals. Of all the things, like the cool, it was cool to ride Snow White, Pinocchio, and all that, but just to get on those boats and ride, you go through Monstro, like, that was like the one thing that I really was like, wow, this is just really cool.
We had done it during the day, and I think our last night there, Emily said, we've let the kids kind of take us everywhere they wanted to go. I want to ride this at night before we leave this time. Like that was the one thing she wanted to do. And it's just such an idyllic ride at night in those little canal boats, watching all the little castles go by and just taking your time. And, the Casey Jr. train is going by you on the elevated track. It's so neat.
We rode the Casey Jr. train at night.
That was the very last ride that we rode there, and it was right as the park closed.
Yep.
All right, Kathleen, the moment you've been waiting for.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're talking about Fantasyland. We've got to talk about it.
Let me say, I was just at Magic Kingdom the other day, walking through in Disney World, and we walked by Small World, and
kept walking.
I looked at it, and I'm like,
It's ruined you.
It really has, because Disneyland's Small World is
not small.
I had my eyes were watering. It was just so beautiful. And even the ride is even better inside. You had mentioned the characters that they have in there.
That caused an uproar when they did it. If
I don't
you
care.
look, it caused
it.
No, everyone has since embraced it, but you want to talk about probably one of the first big uproars of the social media age was them putting Disney characters and IP into Small World. People on the West Coast lost their minds.
It was, I don't know. It was just I need to ride it again. And Cindy went with us when we rode it, and she was pointing everything out to me, all the different things that it had. But I don't know. It is just so hard to describe the feeling that I had when I first saw it. And then not to even mention the tapestry of happiness at night that they have on Small World.
Isn't it incredible?
I would take that over a lot that we have here.
We watched Wondrous Journeys from back there, and it is probably the most incredible memory I have of that entire last trip.
It's only 5 minutes.
The tapestry is, yeah.
And I couldn't take my eyes off of it. The whole 5 minutes. I was worried about my husband behind me because he was having a little bit of a leg issue, but that we ended up going to the ER. But regardless, that I was so embraced on that show that I'm thinking, please don't hate me because I'm not making sure he's okay. I know he's okay. He's breathing, but I just really have to watch this.
I'm just going to need you to put your deep vein thrombosis on hold for a minute while I take this in.
But it was, I don't know, I told Scott I have to get back there at Christmas time, around the holidays, because I have to see that at Christmas, inside and out.
Can I tell the story from a husband's perspective?
I guess.
Okay. I'm just going to, I was so excited for Kathleen because everybody knows how much she loves Small World and everybody knows how much I joke about it and I knock on it at Disney World. I was so excited that I was filming her first steps onto the boat. And she was so excited to get on the ride, on the boat. She's looking around. She steps on the boat. And I kid you not, she was 2 inches away from completely missing and falling into the water.
True.
She was that excited. But I'm glad I got it on video. But that Small World, I will go on record as saying I enjoyed it and I looked forward to riding it again. It was amazing. And I enjoyed the characters. It became a thing where you just started to look to see which character you could find next. But yeah, it was fun. And I think that was a little bit more, of an icon than what the actual castle was.
Like I said, when we were at Magic Kingdom the other day, when we walked past Small World, I don't know. I had a different feeling looking at it at Disney World. I just felt like it was generic.
I think that surprised me more than the castle. I really think that the size and just the actual, how grand that whole entire Small World was, that was more of a shock for me than the size. We talked about the castle and how the projections of the shows were on Small World, just like they would be on the castle.
Well, the theming of Fantasyland is
Yeah, but at just the specific small world part, I personally was not ready for that, but I thought it was really cool.
So although this was my third time at Disneyland, it was only my first time riding It's a Small World there because the last 2 times I was there, it was closed. And I mean, I've always felt sad about it because I think that the facade of It's a Small World at Disneyland is so beautiful, and like the white and the golds, like it's just really, really gorgeous. And the fact that you're kind of weaving through the line in front of that facade, like that's the backdrop, just feels really cool. But then you've got the white and gold facade outside, but then you get into these boats and there's something about the colors of It's a Small World at Disneyland that are so vibrant, and the canal feels narrower and you feel closer to all of the dolls that are surrounding you. There's just something about it that feels much more like, again, like I'm being immersed into this like little storybook that just felt like, I don't know, like I had a sense of wonder and awe about me going through that ride that I
Hmm.
don't know that I ever really necessarily experienced at Walt Disney World, because it's just like everything at Disneyland, especially in Fantasyland. The inside was just more quaint. Like there's an intimacy at Disneyland that does not exist at Walt Disney World, or Magic
Oh,
Kingdom rather.
I felt like I was in fantasy world, like legit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I have a question. We're at 37 minutes. Do you guys want to try and carry this to the end? Because we have really only done DCA Main Street in Fantasyland, or do you want to turn this into a part 3 as we explore the rest of the park? Because there's still a lot to talk about.
I think we should probably start a new episode, and we don't necessarily have to do it today, but I do think, because we want to be, we're going to want to talk about comparisons between Haunted Mansion, Pirates, Jungle Cruise, the
Rivers,
nighttime shows.
Adventureland,
Like there's a lot.
Frontierland,
Yeah.
the shows, there's so much there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
in order to give it its justice, we need to do a third.
Yeah.
We have a lot left to talk about.
All right, so we're going to leave on this cliffhanger of DCA Main Street in Fantasyland, and it looks like we're taking you guys along to Disneyland for a third episode next week. So, as always, thank you for... Oh, Amy, you're going to say something?
I was going to say, which is appropriate, because we said that you actually need 3 days to visit Disneyland parks. You need 3 days to talk
Apparently,
about
we
them
need
too.
3 days, yeah, to actually review it. Hey, look, if I had my way, we'd go a full 5 days visiting and talking about it. It's just that amazing. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for playing along. We'll carry this along to next week, hopefully for our conclusion of the Disneyland trip, but there's no telling at this point. So if you guys could head on over to Apple Podcast, give us a like, a 5-star review, we would appreciate it. Amy?
And you can join us in the conversation at our Facebook group, DVC Clubhouse. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And until next time, we'll DVC you real soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
And so our journey comes to an end.
Oh, no, please, can't we go back to page 1 and do it all over again?
Started this thing together, and that's how we'll finish it.
Because that, my friends, is where the magic lives.